I come to you this morning to talk to you about something that's very close to my heart. And I'm not here to be divisive. I'm not here to offend anyone. I'm here to speak to you as Geronimo talked to a general in the 1880s in the mountains not too far from here, when he met with him at a peace conference, a powwow, and said to him, he said, this morning, he said, I want to speak to you the truth. And I want the truth to be like arrows that go out from my heart and my soul to your mind and your body. And I want each and every one of you to understand what I'm talking about this morning. You see, I'm very profoundly disturbed. I want to understand the problem in America. And the problem is not what you all have been taught. The problem is not poverty. It is not unemployment. It is not unwed teenage parents. It is not food stamps. It's not public housing. It is not drug abuse. Black people only got two problems in America. The first problem is that you've been systematically locked into the lowest level of a real-life monopoly game. That's your major problem. Into a no-win situation. That means that all the wealth and power in this country has been skewed over 400 years systematically into the hands of the majority white society. Black people don't own a significant amount of anything to be able to control their lives. Whites in America right now control almost 100% of all the income, the wealth, the power, the resources, the businesses, the privileges, and all levels of government. You cannot be divided into three parts. I'm first going to tell you about the problems of Black America realistically. As Cochise and Geronimo said, I'm going to give you the truth about the current state of Black America, point one. Two, I'm going to analyze it for you. And three, I'm going to give you the solutions that we can do together to come out of it. Okay? What the power structure really wants is what we call unearned income. Slavery was nothing but unearned income for whoever owns the slave. And once slavery ended, that's where Wall Street came from. Wall Street was based on slavery. Everything that blacks were producing went to Wall Street then. And now that all that money that's amassed on Wall Street is still producing unearned income. All that money is producing a regular salary for people. It's in stocks and bonds and dividends. They don't have to work. Never had to work. Contract with America, they found out through their research that approximately 68 to 7% of all the blacks in America work in some level of government. This happened as a direct result of the civil rights movement. See, at the end of the civil rights movement, instead of moving against the problem to get more wealth and power for black folk, our civil rights organizations pushed us over looking for jobs. And so all of our black folk then, over 50 to 60% of all the blacks that got jobs after the civil rights movement went into government. So 68 to 70% of all the blacks in America are working either in federal government, city government, state government, county government, libraries, and school systems. So when you hear white folks talking about downsizing government, what they're talking about are de-employing and disemploying black folk. They know that. They know that. So in Washington, D.C., they plan on firing 480,000 people. And what the Office of Management and Budget, right out of the White House, says is that for every white person who gets fired, we're going to fire 2 blacks. Now, if you're only 12.3% of the population, and you're going to fire 2 blacks for every white, you're going to be devastated. Now, let me give you the real picture, even before they started firing black folk. Let me give you the real true options for black folk. There's only 3 things that you can do in this world as a black person to earn a living and survive. You either must work, go on welfare, or you steal. Now, for those who missed that, let me give it to you again. You either work up here, you go on welfare here, or you steal down there. In this country, it is 57%. That's why you got your problem out here on the streets. Because nobody wants to give you the true facts about why you got problems. Now, that's at the top level. Now, when you kick those people out of those jobs in the government and out of those corporations, they must go down to the second level. I'm going to show you how you get into your underclass. You kick them down to the second level. But the conservatives in this country have already made preparation for you when you come down to the second level. That's called welfare. They got preparation. They said, when you come down here, don't plan on staying here. We just had welfare reform, which means you can't stay here on the second floor either. And now to do welfare, actually, you can only be on welfare for 2 years. We're going to kick you off of that, which means you must go down to the next. But before they kick you off the second level, look at the second level already. The poverty level in America for black folk is 35%. That means 35% of all the black people in this country got a zero, negative, nil, none net worth. That means they own nothing. 35%. 47% of all the black children in America are beneath the poverty level. I just left New Orleans. New Orleans. That's why I had tears in my voice, in my eyes a few minutes ago when I talked about leaving New Orleans and Tuskegee University. In New Orleans, the poverty rate there for black folk is 80%. And somebody got to wake up. You can't stand that kind of poverty. And so they're going to now have welfare reform to kick them off the second level. So now they must go down to the next level. The next level is crime. Your crime rate in America is going to go straight up within the next 2 and 2.5 years. Powernomics, Unleashing Black America's Potential. It's a follow-up to the book, Black Labor, White Wealth. It'll show you in very specific terms what you got to do to be competitive. The things you got to focus on is in broad categories with specific principles. The first is the community. You cannot do anything unless you have a community. Your community is your social cohesiveness. The only power, the potential that black people have in America is your social, racial cohesiveness. If you don't have that, you have no power. Forget about everything else. That's a fact of life. You got to have a community because the community will give you your businesses. It'll give you your sales opportunities in your markets. Now, how do you develop communities? The first thing you must do is stay out of all cross-purpose issues. Cross-purpose means horizontal issues. Don't get involved in any horizontal issues. Let me explain it to you. I see the puzzlements in your eyes. First, racism is vertical. Remember this. Racism is straight up and down. Racism means I don't care whether you are the lowest income black or the highest, the best educated or the least educated. It doesn't make any difference. You're all in the same tube. Okay? That's what Malcolm X was asking, what is a black man with a PhD? Remember that saying? And he answered, well, he's still a Negro. Okay? It means it doesn't make any difference. You're all in it together. That's straight up and down. Horizontal issues are any issue that pertains to everybody, stay out of it. You're the weakest and poorest, most vulnerable people. Don't get involved in it. Because the only people that can benefit are those people who are directly behind where the horizontal crosses the vertical. Okay? The only people who benefit are where those 2 points cross. That's too small. You don't have that kind of energy and resources to waste. Now, what's a horizontal issue? Sexism is a horizontal issue. If you get into these various religious issues, that's a horizontal issue. Poverty is a horizontal issue. I keep telling some of my civil rights leaders, stay away from poverty. You cannot eradicate poverty. Poverty is a fixed, it's a given. You're always going to have poor people. And people say, well, you're going to have poor Greeks, poor Indians, poor Lithuanians, poor Hungarians. Quit trying to eradicate poverty and try to get as many black folk as you out and leave poverty alone. But they try to eradicate something that can't be eradicated. Culturalism. That's a horizontal issue. That pertains to everybody. Let me give you about sexism, for instance. I tell black women who always want to get into sex issue, they think that somehow that the issue is sex rather than racism. See, my great-grandmother was not enslaved because she's a woman. She was enslaved because she was black. Okay? And if you're going to get into sexism, I want black women to understand this, to keep your priorities in order. If I say abracadabra right now and sexism disappeared, you still can't go into place because you're black. And if you keep it in order, remember what your mother felt. The minute she knew she was pregnant, she knew at that moment she was going to have what? A black child long before she knew the sex. So you keep your priorities straight and say, since my color came before my sex, I'm going to keep it in that order. You always stay black first. So stay out of those cross-purpose issues. I'll explain all the next time I come back out here on a Powernomics workshop or something. But that's very important. I can show you all the problems you got with that. And see, but once you stay out of those horizontal issues, like I tell some of my Muslim friends, I said, don't be worried about pushing Islamic faith. Push your skin color first and stay aligned with your people. And I tell them, the people in the Baptist church, quit worrying about about being a Baptist and worry about being black. And again, I have to give credit to your minister. It seems like he's one of the few in the country who understands that. That you put who you are and as a people before you start talking about what denomination you belong to. And especially since most of the denominations on the earth all work together to enslave black folk. All of them pimp and hustle black folk. The Catholics, the Protestants, the Baptists, the Jews, and everybody else got black folk. But what we're going to do then is start, once we get past building these communities, then we're going to start getting into what we call building alternative economic structures. That's very important. You got to build your own alternative economic structure. An alternative economic structure, in the short time I haven't got time to explain it, is nothing but building your own city, your own communities, your own towns, building a lot of small sub-communities all over America. You build a community of markets, a community of producers, a community of distributors, a community of retailers, and we all interconnect all over the country and build a vertical order. Let me give you an example, for instance. The reason I'm down in Tuskegee and down in New Orleans is because, as an example, we're trying to build 12 major industries in America. The first one is seafoods. Why am I picking seafoods? Because one of the first principles of Powernomics is you must always dominate economically wherever you dominate in population. We, as black folk, are one of the largest consumers of seafood in America. We must dominate in seafood into the ground and grow tall and strong, and nobody can pull us up. And we're going to have our own communities built around our own industries. And each and every one of you have a chance to go into your own businesses where you'll be dependent upon the black above you and the black beneath you to depend on them, okay? Buy from your own people, trust and love your own people, because nobody else cares about you. You don't have any incentives or interest in black folk in America anymore. I would spend a lot of time teaching you how to play politics. There are a lot of rules in Powernomics. But the thing I'm telling you in conclusion is everything you do, play it to win. Practice group economics, group politics, build alternative economic structures, redesign your school systems. Right now, people are saying school systems are failing blacks. The school systems are not failing blacks. The school systems are doing exactly what they were originally designed to do. That was to produce blacks who were marginally educated to work for whites. But now, as I told you, is that blacks are obsolete. They don't need your kids anymore. They don't need half-educated kids anymore. And so what you should do is go back and close down the assembly line and get your plan and say, we will now rebuild our schools across black America based on the needs of black Americans. In other words, what I'm saying to you is this. If I told you all right now we were going to the moon, and we agreed to go to the moon, now our schools will know what to do. Because now they say if black folk going to the moon, you see, you got some direction. And now the school system say, well, now we got to produce more mechanics and more astronauts and more physicists and biochemicals. We got to prepare for that. But right now the school system is still operating the way they were designed in 1867, was to produce black folk who were marginally educated people. And nobody wants our kids. Our kids keep telling you all that. That's why right now in the large cities, 65% of all the black kids that start nursery school never graduate from high school. They're telling you something, you're not listening. They're saying you're dysfunctional. There's no use in going to school. The school doesn't mean anything. There are no businesses in my community. There's no health. There's nothing in my neighborhood worth staying into. Go back and develop a national plan about where your people want to go, and then transmit that plan to every black individual, every black corporation, every black association. And then we can do it. We got the expertise, we got the skills, we got a little bit of money, and the last thing we got to do is get rid of a lot of our black leadership. Okay? All these black leaders in America now that head up our 2 or 3 major institutions keep talking about looking out for everybody but black folk. You tell them that day is over. Nobody's going to sell black folk anymore. The day of selling black folk over. If you want to sell them, you better find yourself another job. Because right now, black folk are hurting too much, and it's too bad for us in this world to keep letting black folk get up there and get in these high positions and talk about everybody but black folk. If you don't want to be black, go home and sit down and look at TV. And I tell all my friends, even those who look up the rainbow, talking about a rainbow coalition, as I'm telling you, there is no blackness in the rainbow. And if you want a rainbow, look inside my race and you'll find it. Look at this beautiful rainbow of people. All the colors you want. There's my rainbow. And I love you all and thank you very much.